Darren Rovell and Will Stern here for Collect TV, and we are doing one of our favorite things to do, the auction preview. We have the Golden 100 coming up this week, and so we're going to start off with probably the thing that has gotten the most news coverage, and that's the Kobe Bryant Achilles jersey, the famous game where he shot and made two free throws after his Achilles tour. Now, this item was at $435,000. There then was an irrevocable bid, Golden's first ever, something that Sotheby's has done, and that has driven it up to 1.22 million. No bid since then, and a couple of days left. My take here is that I think this is obviously the ultimate Mamba game. When you think about moments, you think about the jersey pop, and obviously that jersey sold for a lot at Sotheby's for Kobe. A moment, but it can be seen as maybe not like winning the finals or doing something else. There's a little negative to it. So I'm not sure where this goes. This will be an interesting test. There's a lot of pressure on Golden, but we'll see where this goes. It's been interesting that there hasn't been another bid on top of it. Perhaps everyone who wanted to bid is already in, but this is something that we're clearly watching. Will, how about we do the Boba Fett that's coming up? You are the resident Star Wars expert.
Sure. So we've got one of the most unique examples of any Star Wars toy. So it's the Holy Grail, right? The rocket firing Boba Fett prototype from Kenner. It was supposed to be recalled, and it never made it to retail shelves due to issues with the rocket firing function, which was difficult, which was dangerous for children. But there were about 100 that made it out the back door. And this one is even more unique than that 100 because it's got a few different variations on it. One of them being it's one of two production paint scheme examples. And it's poised to possibly set a new record. I mean, previously the record was set with a more generic example at $236,000. And this one has not only that unique variant, but has a pedigree as coming from the collection of one guy who at one point had about a dozen of these. So that's a dozen of 100 of the Holy Grail of Star Wars toys. So this is going to be a really interesting one to watch, especially considering, the market for these toys has not been super consistent or positive in recent years. So it'll be a great test.
All right, I'm going to take the Star Wars A New Hope 82 VHS tape, one of the first early production ones for those who collected VHS, has the 20th Century Fox on top with the lines, believed to be about 10 copies. One of the copies sold for $114,000 in October. This one is relatively similar. It's not much different. And it's like below $10,000. Listen, I got into VHS. I thought it could be the next big thing. I spent at least $25,000. I'm shocked that there's so many sealed VHSs out there. That's one. So I think that hurt the market. And two, and you can read in our auction column, two big players from VHS are basically out. And so there's just not enough people collecting this. I think this is signaling kind of the end. I don't think this is the next big thing, and I don't even think it's a small thing anymore. They're really cool, but apparently not cool enough for this market, and the prices have been really dismal. Will, why don't you take Goldenrod?
Sure. So this is the most, shall I say, infamous error card ever made. I'm not sure what I can say on the air, but a close inspection of this card of C3PO, one will see a certain phallic shape coming out of his midsection, and that was a mistake by Topps. And while they corrected it, it was a bit too late, and collectors have pretty much made it clear that it is their chosen example, with you know, a ton more graded of these than the reproduced PG version. It's the second most graded by PSA in the entire set. And this is one of 5 PSA 10s. The last time one of them sold was about exactly 4 years ago for $5,000. Bidding's over $7,500 now. I think it could get to 20, because if you think about it, you know, this is
Completely, absolutely.
this is a really it's a well-known card. Both, you know, it's funny, that's why, but it's a well-known card. And people who want the best of the best, there's certainly people that have been sitting on the sidelines for 4 years waiting for their shot. And this is it. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be a really, really kind of frenzied bidding towards the end. So
I'm going to cut you off to save you from puns and possible firing here at Collect. I'm going to go to the 1986 Nintendo Entertainment System, the deluxe set that came with the robot. Listen, when I saw this at the Golden 100 promo party and the size of it and just how nicely it's done in terms of being graded, I was like, I got to get one. But I had to get the 88 one. You know, I never played with the robot. Most of my friends never played with the robot. It was kind of seen as a failure. I would say it was quintessential Japanese. If you looked at the Japanese sold 8 to 9 million of these things, significantly less when it came over to America. So I actually got the 88. I was so motivated. I got the 88 with the Duck Hunt and the Super Mario. This thing looks really cool. There's enough people who are into the first and the scarcity. Will it go for, you know, 100 grand, 120 grand that we saw recently? I don't know. But I do believe in consoles, and I think this is a really interesting one. Will, why don't you round it out with something else you're excited about?
sure. So I think a real fun one is there's a Bob Ross oil painting in the Golden 100. This has been a pretty big topic of conversation over the last couple of years for the documentary made. And basically, this is unlike most art markets in that it is not really scarcity driven. Bob Ross made 30,000 paintings over his lifetime. About 1,000 of those were actually created on live TV. And those are all actually in the possession of his trust. And none of them have been offered for sale, with the exception of, I believe, one, which was listed at kind of a laughable, like $20 million asking
10 million.
price.
$10 million, I think.
Yeah. So the market's really interesting. And this is one that obviously was not used in the taping of the show, but Bob Ross occupies such a unique and really positive space in a lot of people's childhood and media consumption, that the fanfare is there and the artwork is so recognizable that it's a really awesome piece, and I'll be shocked if this doesn't do quite well.
Yeah, for me, it's just I worry when there's just one group that has a lot, and we know they have a lot, and it's worth a lot of money. Now they've been able to resist it so far, and keep it, but like that does go on in my head when I'm thinking about, should I invest in this or not? Very much like the Steve Jobs and RR finding more and more Steve Jobs autographs. What's my play as the population might continue to grow? For Will Stern, I'm Darren Rovell, and make sure you check out our auction preview on collect.com.